No, man, I didn't know it was fractured. I don't think any of us did. I mean, it was just you just go out there and you play, and the knee stiff, and yeah, it's painful, but it was no worse than some of the things I've played with in the past. So,
welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Nav Intro. Many Kobe fans might be shocked to learn that the year he came back from his Achilles injury, he actually ended up breaking his leg, and in the game he ended up coming back in the fourth quarter, hit a dagger three-pointer to ensure a Lakers victory. Today we're going to be discussing Kobe Bryant's tibial plateau fracture, and we're going to be setting it to stone exactly why I think he's the toughest athlete of all time.
In order to understand Kobe's knee fracture, let's discuss a few key anatomical structures. This bone up here is the femur. Distal to it is the tibia down here, which is the major weight-bearing bone of the lower leg. It bears about 80% of the weight of this leg. This proximal portion of the bone by the knee is called the tibial plateau, which forms the lower surface of the knee joint. Here's a full frame of the play that Mamba suffered the broken leg. After going down, Kobe stands up, and watch where he grabs at. You see him grab just below that knee at the proximal tibia. Now, let's break this injury down frame by frame. As the defender reaches to swipe at the ball, Kobe begins to shift his weight to that left side as he spins to turn his back to the basket. Keep a close eye on that left leg. The critical movement phase occurs here when he plants his left foot in a dorsiflexed position. With the plant of this leg on a relatively flat foot, there is a downward axial load from his weight and momentum combined with a upward ground reaction force, which creates significant compressive stress at that knee joint. Subsequently, notice the foot is externally rotated while the knee angles medially or in a valgus alignment. These forces combined with minimal redistribution of weight to the right leg really concentrates a significant load on that lateral tibial plateau, and boom. Here is where we see the knee buckle from hyperextension. We're going to get back one more time. As he plants that left leg, we're going to see that femur torpedo backwards while the tibia is in a relatively fixed position with the foot planted on the hardwood. And then you see it recoil forward as he lifts that left foot. When we follow that leg to the maximal point of hyperextension, you see from the contour of the leg that the proximal tibia appears to have fractured right here. When discussing hyperextension, virtually the femur was bent this way while the tibia relative to it was bent in this direction here, putting compressive forces at the front of the tibia as well as a significant stretch at the back of the knee. When this occurs, at the very least you stretch the muscles surrounding the back of the knee, including the hamstring, the calves, as well as the capsule and this oblique popliteal ligament, which is frequently injured, causing significant bruising. At the front of the knee, the compressive forces knock the femur and tibia together, causing more bruising and microfractures at the front of the bone. It can also injure the cartilage here and sometimes can be complicated by meniscal tears. As that knee hyperextends more, it can also stretch and even tear the PCL as well as the ACL. In Kobe's case, he avoided structural damage to ligaments and cartilage, but he ended up with a fracture here on that lateral side of the tibial plateau.
Yeah, I was expecting really a bone bruise more than anything else, and I actually thought Lombardo was joking when he told me. And I said, it's not funny, and he said he was quite serious.
Well, Kobe laughs it off. A tibial plateau fracture is indeed very serious and can have some significant complications. Because it occurs at the part of the bone that absorbs 80% of the leg's weight, it has one of the highest risks of becoming unstable, and the initial treatment requires complete immobilization of that leg and being non-weight bearing, meaning putting zero weight on it. The fact that Kobe came back into the game with the broken leg and hit a three-point jump shot that basically sealed the victory was absolutely incredible, but it also likely played a role in the delayed bone healing and prolonged absence that he had.
Because it's Christmas, I'll refrain from being a smartass. I don't think one had anything to do with the other. Man, we've evaluated it pretty extensively.
While there's no well-documented direct evidence linking previous Achilles tendon rupture to an increased risk of tibial plateau fracture, there are some biomechanical and clinical considerations that might suggest an indirect relationship. First being altered biomechanics. Even with successful rehab, some individuals may develop compensatory movement patterns. These altered gait mechanics can place abnormal stress on the knee joint, potentially predisposing it to injury. Muscle imbalance is another big one. Weakness or asymmetry of the calf muscles following an Achilles injury could affect load distribution in that leg. In fact, Kobe's left calf muscle appeared to show some signs of atrophy during his brief return. If his calf lacked its usual strength, this would have contributed to improper leg alignment and reduced shock absorption capacity, increasing the risk of injury higher up the kinetic chain. During motion, contraction of this gastrocnemius muscle slows the tibia down and maintains flexion tension on that knee as it extends. As a result, an athlete faces a higher risk of knee hyperextension with atrophy of the calf muscle because they're unable to decelerate the tibia adequately enough.
It's really not painful. You know, it's which kind of concerned me after the game. Since I got in the locker room, you know, it just felt like something was off. It just felt weird because it just felt like there was just a lot of swelling that was inside of the knee. And it was a different feeling. It wasn't a painful feeling. And so when it's something like that, it always worries me a little bit.
Painless fracture in this area can occur under specific circumstances. First, in the instance where there is minimal structural damage to soft tissues like ligaments, cartilage, or the periosteum of the bone itself has fewer pain receptors compared to these soft tissues. Since Kobe didn't have significant damage to the surrounding structures, it's possible and likely this played a role. Additionally, sometimes the nerves in the knee or the surrounding area can be damaged during the injury, and pain signals may not be transmitted effectively. This could happen if the fracture or swelling causes nerve compression, leading to temporary numbness.
You know, the fact of the matter is, you know, any of us can get hurt at any moment. And, you know, the key for us as an athlete is to block that fear out. And then when you have injuries, that fear is enhanced. And, you know, you kind of put yourself under a microscope a little bit and start thinking about it too much. In reality, this can happen to anybody. And so you have to be able to tune that noise out and just go out there and perform.
Mamba talks about how he shut out the pain part as he attempted to come back from the devastating Achilles injury. He was aware of an enhanced fear response his body was having and was actively attempting to tune that noise out. It is possible and somewhat likely that this led to some overcompensation, so the combination of the injury being painless and then him also tuning out certain signals of his body makes it possible that Kobe may have tried to push this injury earlier than he should have when he was attempting to return from it. I gathered further evidence in support of this when I spoke to his trainer Tim Grover during our podcast, where Tim himself said Kobe did not know how to shut it down.
My hardest transition with Kobe was getting him to stop. Was like, all right, your body needs time to recover. We got to stop doing this. You're actually working out too much. All right, we cannot shoot 1,000 shots today. We got to cut that in half. And that was the battle that we had all the going on back and forth.
This at least partially would help to explain why an injury that was reported would take 6 weeks to heal ended up taking around 40 weeks or 10 and a half months for him to return. That's it for the video, folks. If you enjoyed it, please give it a huge thumbs up. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. It really helps